chaotic evil.
Yeah.
Well, I thought this chaotic evil is the chaotic jerk.
Doesn't have to be, I don't think, but it usually comes out that way. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It comes out that way.
I think that it's very hard to actually be a chaotic evil.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever met anyone
I've
who
never
would be
tried.
like,
Oh, God,
I just
I have
got
this.
this chaotic evil.
Okay, I fix it.
All I know is I said I wasn't going to save that lady's cat, so I can't be lawful good.
Well, that was actually a good example. One of the questions was, tell the lady you're not going to save her stupid cat. It's like, why do you have to say it like that? Why don't you just say, no, I won't help you?
Oh yeah, there were a lot of loaded questions. I was like, I wouldn't do any of these answers. I would.
Well, it's
totally do
not. I
something
mean,
different.
it's never going to be perfect. It's going to be like, which is the closest to what you would do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a couple questions like that. Most of them I thought were pretty
Yeah,
accurate
reasonably good.
to what I would do.
Yeah, I like the one where it was like, save the cat and then withhold the cat.
Yeah.
Like, that's the chaotic evil one.
Like I would save the cat,
Ransom
but
the
if I
cat.
had the proper equipment, I wouldn't go up there and just get scratched. I'd
Yeah, I
go with,
offered,
like,
I
heaven
offered to
mitts
call
or
the fire
something.
department.
Yeah, I offered to call the fire department
I
also.
told her wasn't going to help her. Or I just kept moving.
Yeah.
Because, like, the old lady can
Boring.
call the fire department.
Well, she's
like,
an old lady. Maybe she didn't believe in technology and doesn't have a cell phone.
Well,
This quest isn't
sorry
worth enough
that
experience.
Her cat is going to die because we're in there. It's not my problem.
I only know how you turned out true neutral.
Yeah, really.
Poor cat.
Cat climbed up there. Cat can climb down.
Or fall down.
They land on their feet.
I have heard
If
that.
she doesn't, she'll just subtract one life.
Yeah.
Or she'll go. That's how that works, right?
I wish.
I wish. I would love to have a tiny cat.
But you have to
Dog,
hit
you're
your
too
cat
big
for-
now. Wait, that's well, you know, whatever.
You'd have to hit it though. You'd have to hit your pet with a big string.
I'm sure they
Let's
would
throw it
take
off
care
the
of that
roof.
themselves.
True.
This isn't starting to sound like animal abuse at all.
Yeah, really.
I hope the stream started right when we started saying stuff like that.
Listen, I would beat the shit out of my dog if
You
he
gotta
would
shoot
shrink
your
down.
pet.
Whatever brings in the views.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the stream on now?
It is. I'm trying to fix the
Oh.
camera.
Oh, good.
Okay, great. When did we start?
What?
When did we start?
I don't
When you heard the echoing and the
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
that was probably a pretty good clue.
Gotcha. So the
No.
stream just heard us talking about a grandma and random crap, and they're like, "What is
Yeah.
going?" So there's this test you can take to figure
Don't
out.
lie to
That's
them.
that's
We
how-
all passed
But
the
that's
grandma.
how that's how podcasts always start. Like you always start and
Talking
that's how,
about random
No,
stuff.
no. You always start in the middle of the conversation. That's
Right.
that's how movies and shit work too.
Yeah.
Movies.
Well, I'll
and
explain to
You
them.
never go
It's
up
it's
like,
it's a test that you can take to figure out what your alignment is, what your D&D alignment
and
is.
your alignment is what, Bill?
And I'm
super accurate.
lawful good apparently. I don't buy it entirely,
I
but
do. It actually
It's the
fits.
most accurate of the tests that I've seen.
No.
where did you guys link
I,
this?
yeah,
Yeah,
posted
it was
on
on
that.
D&D group.
Yeah, it's 38 questions.
It's on the internet.
I don't see the internet all day until I stop.
Yeah,
streaming,
it's
so-
on. I posted on the D&D group. I think you're just salty that you're lawful good.
I'm just bitter about everything.
You
so-
realize that you're really just a sweetheart.
I theorized that
Well,
that's
that's 'cause
he's cynical because life doesn't reward being lawful good terribly
Well, I
well.
was talking to him about it, I'm like, I'm not lawful dumb. That's usually what
Aren't
lawful
you?
good is. Oh,
Aren't you?
So,
I'm sorry.
Are you
I'm
talking
I'm so sorry.
So, like,
No,
if
you're
an
not.
old lady offered you money to save the cat, you'd really like, no, or you'd take the money and donate to charity.
I
See, that's the problem with a quiz like that, is that you could say... I could very realistically imagine a scenario where I say no for like 17 minutes.
Yeah,
And then
and then-
take the money.
And then
Yeah,
Just to
take it.
stop it.
because the answers,
Yeah.
the answers are usually not what I'd actually choose in that situation. But like you said, you're supposed to choose the one closest to you.
Sure.
I wouldn't. It depends on if I take the lady's money or not. Because like if I got scratched up as all heck, yeah, I'm gonna take the money because I went through some work for that. Like the cat was clawing me while trying to get out of the tree. But otherwise, like if it was like an easy thing and I didn't really matter, then I'd be like, no, I don't care.
It's sort of like taking the SATs. Is you just choose the closest answer.
Yep.
Wait.
No, wait. Did you take the SATs?
Funny thing is, yes, but
That's hilarious.
My scores didn't actually matter at all.
All right.
I took the
Didn't
ACT.
your- What? Why didn't they matter?
Well, I mean, they didn't matter for going into college because
Okay.
I transfer is long story.
Sure.
No.
I went to a state university, so mine
Okay.
did not matter.
Don't they
I
still
didn't take
require
the
you to
SATs.
have?
They
Sorry,
require
ACT.
you to have
I
taken
took the
it,
ACT.
and I got
I
like
took none of
a
them.
pretty good scholarship
ACT.
for having
That's
taken
probably
it.
why.
I got 29.
And I had fun taking them, so I took them
Wait,
twice
what? 29?
Yeah,
to get a better
out
score.
of 56 total.
Oh, that was
Wow.
Or 35.
I think it's like
Might be
35.
35.
A
You
lot
ever,
of
you ever
fun.
want to like revisit
I
them
remember that.
for
So I
a
did
third
pretty
time and be like, let's see how much dumber I've gotten over the course of 10 years on school or whatever.
I took the PSATs.
It's a lot more than 10
Oh yeah,
years.
I never
that's
took the SATs.
But-
Or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Like
not.
10
I
something.
do frequently
SATs.
regret the amount of
I don't even know which ones
like
those are.
active knowledge that I've lost. Like I'm sure that there's a lot less like just.
I thought there was only the SAT and
I always feel like that's kind of
Information.
Well, the
worthless
PSATs
knowledge that
is the
you're teaching, you know.
pre-SATs.
Oh.
I guess.
Gotcha.
I think it's non-experiential. It's just sort of
Yeah.
again best guess kind of like all right. Well, I don't know if this guy's going to become a plumber or a nuclear physicist.
Yes.
So let's give him a little bit of everything just in case.
Yeah,
And then once you get into college or graduate school or whatever, you start whittling it down.
yeah.
And then,
Start figuring out how many beers you can drink before you throw up.
right.
Alright,
And then one
stick
day
under
die.
that
Where's there's the
The
line.
important thing.
Yeah.
The line is
Exactly.
drawn.
Alright, can't drink more than 3 beers at a company function.
Yeah.
That's pretty late tolerance.
Yeah, really. I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I just saw something hilarious outside. Polo was looking directly at me with this almost pained look on his face. Then I saw him kind of like duck down, and Raisin just lunged. He's like-
Polo's like, save me! Somebody save me!
Raisin really is a lot more aggressive, and so wants to be like on top of like
yeah, that's what I was thinking. He was
Polo's
like,
head pretty much all the time.
That's exactly what I was
Well,
thinking.
what better spot to bite Polo from?
It was a lot funnier when Raisin was like a fifth the size of Polo.
Now
In the
she's
past
more
2
like a-
weeks, she's gotten
Yeah,
like a
200%
third of the
bigger.
size or
It's
half.
exploding.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Here he is again, probably.
Sorry, Fieldy and Raisin are here playing with Hound this week,
Yep.
Did we
and
get
we're
this-
talking about the SATs.
Did we get XP last session?
No, we
No,
didn't.
we have not.
Damn it.
We're not done yet.
We have a Minotaur skeleton to kill.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I completely did not think at all
A
about
Minotaur.
the proposed like. Should I be regulating what level you guys are?
Oh.
I didn't do that at all. I'm sorry.
It's
I'm
okay.
writing.
It's all right.
There's a stack of.
We gotta-
The camera is adjusting again because I have a stack of post-it notes underneath my camera. Makes a really good stack.
We've got
Never
another-
remember to do it if I don't write it down.
You're stacked?
Think about
Are we gonna
XP.
save the postmortem for the end of
Auto.
the stream? Are we gonna-
Oh yeah, we want to talk about Quest Night.
Why don't we
didn't-
talk about Quest Night first?
We didn't get time to do it after Quest Night because it was pretty
It was
freaking
like
late.
2 in the morning.
Yeah, it was
two.
we
It
got
was
we got
two.
delayed a
we
bit
had
due to
a
rain.
burger to eat, right?
Yeah, we had
Yeah.
one.
We had.
Like, what can we either stream or eat?
Milkshakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, we insist. Oh man, does anyone have a milkshake right now?
No.
No.
Can we take the stream to go get milkshakes?
No.
I don't know how to do
I
that.
don't think so.
No.
I have a 150-foot Ethernet cable.
That's great. Let's
Well,
get
alright,
it.
if we have 50 more of those.
Wait, no, the Ethernet's not that what we need. We need a USB cable for the camera.
Mm.
Yes, we need a way to stream from our phones, and then
I'm
merge
sure my
those
phone will be
feeds
up to the challenge.
Yeah.
to a central phone that we're all touching at the same time.
Well, that's easy. All right, leave one phone here that's got like Skype or something. And
Okay.
then
Point it at the
Skype,
camera.
Skype call that
Oh, yeah.
phone, and then everyone else can be moving around.
My phone has HDMI out, so you just boom, catch.
Oh, what a braggart!
I'm not Samsung.
Samson? Is that why you cut your mohawk
Yeah,
off?
it's a Samsung phone.
So you're not as powerful anymore?
Yeah.
Old Testament jokes.
Yes.
Those are the best ones.
Yes. So Saturday, we went to Quest Night.
Which was awesome.
Quest Night is. I'm just going to try and summarize it because we're going to talk all about it before we get started playing Dungeons and Dragons. Quest Night was not quite a LARP, but it was.
kind of was.
It kind of was.
I couldn't
but
explain it in a way that sounded cool, other than like it's like LARPing but kind of cool.
Like,
So,
how is that cool?
we did. It was kind of like if you went to a catered haunted house, kind of like at Universal Studios Haunted Horror Nights or something like that, where you go to a very deliberately set up. This is the scenario haunted house of like it's vampires or oh no a mummy, which are the name of many celebrated Halloween Horror Nights things. at
anyone
Universal.
has- If anyone's been,
But instead of being
A mob
scared
comes
by
together.
people jumping out, you instead walked up to craps tables with your team of.
Craps tables.
It was.
Yeah,
Wasn't it? It was a
yeah,
big
it was.
box that was
Yeah.
a craps table.
It was.
And you rolled gigantic foam dice because we were all adventurers, and the other people that we were playing Dungeons and Dragons craps with were dressed up as werewolves and death knights.
Yep.
And if we won, then they lay down on the ground and waited for us to leave the room.
They
while
were
we
dead. Yeah, they
But I
pretended
mean,
to be
goofed
dead.
around
their,
with Fritz
their
bits.
dress ups was pretty proud.
Everything,
Yeah,
every
everything was
single thing
good.
about the production value was amazing. John, you actually did something with this group before and discovered the event in the first place and got us all to sign up with it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you discovered this and what your experiences were with
What
it
was
before
going
that?
through your head?
Well,
How many
so
drinks
I
did you have?
drove-
Carefully.
So
Describe a young John Pike. so.
Well, it was about a
much
year
the
ago.
same as this
I was
one,
gonna-
but with a much shorter beard.
Oh,
At a
yeah.
company function, I had way more than 3 beers.
Actually, a friend of mine, back when I was working at a recording studio downtown, was talking about how much he loves, this was around the time of Halloween, how much he loves haunted houses, stuff like that. And he was talking about this thing called Scare for a Cure,
Right.
which is the company, the I guess entity that puts on these events or whatever. And he was talking about the
The embodiment.
he's talking about this haunted house that they do, and he was like, "Oh no, like this is like the real deal. You have to sign a waiver, and there's like they tell you
Someone
not."
dies.
And possibly, people get panic attacks, and like they tell you specifically don't wear good clothes because you are going to get messy, all kinds of things like that. And I was like, dude, sign me up. So
Now, the messy is both from like the experience of like they're like gushing chemicals at you, but also of like physical activity. Like you're actually walking from room to room in like a ghost town. In this
exactly,
place.
yeah. The one that I was at previously was on the grounds at Richard Garriott's
Oh, okay.
estate, or whatever.
Castleton?
Yes, Castleton.
Yeah.
They built. I'm pretty sure they built it all from scratch because it wasn't like an existing ghost town like the one that we went to.
Sure. One of
But
those
yeah,
Texas ghost towns.
We have a few.
They shuttle you out there. You go through the theme that year. They do a new theme every year, whatever it was. It's vampires, and it was very visceral. The actors very much participated with you. You were not like spectators in this, where some haunted houses you go to and it's like there's like little rooms that you're kind of like seeing the action, whatever, like you were part of the action,
Right.
Very
Very immersive.
yeah, exactly. You were being led through by this guy who was murdered right in front of you, and by vampires, and you were taken through torture chambers, and I had a still beating heart, like thrust into my ear, and I had blood dripping down my face, and viscera from all over the place, and they do everything that they can to really involve you in the story. So immediately after that, I liked Scare for a Cure, and I became friends with people that volunteered for it because it's a strictly volunteer basis.
So it's all everything that they earn goes towards
Either charity or putting the events together.
Exactly.
That's
It's
it,
all.
100%.
I don't know if Scare for a Cure is like a regional thing or whatever, or if it's just an Austin thing, but they're raising money for cancer prevention research.
It's charity, yep.
Right.
As they said, putting the boo in boobies.
Yeah.
That was a quote. They said that in the video.
Yeah,
That's
so-
Herbie talking.
When we very
Clarify.
first got there was a video. No, that's not true. The very first thing that happened when we got there was we were taken in a van from the parking lot to the event proper, and from there we turned in our tickets. You have to buy tickets in advance. You sign up for a slot. Much like golfing or visiting a vampire estate,
How far was that drive, would you say?
45 minutes or something like that.
It's about 3
That was
hours. I
3
thought.
hours.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it felt
45.
like 3
I think
hours.
he's talking
yeah.
about the shuttle. Are you talking about the shuttle? Or
Yeah,
no?
the
Yeah,
shuttle.
the shuttle's about
No,
3 hours.
three
Shuttle's
hours.
about 3 hours.
I think that was a Gilligan's joke
It was a
Yeah.
joke, yeah. It was a 3-hour
Yes.
tour.
from Gilligan's Island.
Yeah, from Gilligan's
on
Island.
the
Most
television
people
show.
don't know that.
Most people have
The
no
new
idea what that is.
Gilligan's Island?
Yeah, it's the new one with Channing Tatum and Ashton Kutcher.
Oh yeah, one of the interesting rules they have at the
Excuse me,
event too
Joey.
is that the people there can touch you, but you can't touch them.
Yes. So
They really only came into play once, though. I think that rogue guy bumped me early on. The guy who I fail horribly at telling jokes to, but
Yeah,
somehow still
yeah.
can
It
get robbed
bums
by.
me. Well, let's start.
Linearly. So I was
Sorry.
getting to this with the video where before they take you in, there's this really big pavilion where they give you a lot of the intro stuff. They make you watch a video that not only sets the stage for, hey, you're getting into an adventure where you are the heroes and here are the things that you're going to do, but it also laid down the ground rules, and it made it really clear that this is the sort of thing that's supposed to be very visceral, but they're really covering their bases to make sure that no one goes, oh, I'm going to punch the werewolf in the face, and then walks over and punch the guy in the face. And I could see them getting into that kind of a situation later on, because the actors that were there were like 100% on board with this simulation.
Oh,
Of
yeah.
like, I am the Lich King, and I am here to destroy
And we
you.
actually got daggers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Straight
So,
up fucking metal daggers.
yeah, so Ryan, why don't you talk a little bit about like the orientation once we got in after we
Yeah,
watched the
so
video?
you go in and they had 4 booths set up, and each booth was for the different classes. They had rogue. They also had so they had base classes and advanced classes.
They shared a
all
booth
did-
for each
yeah,
pair.
Yeah, we did the
Right.
advanced classes. So we did the shadow. John and I did a shadow. You guys did the
Warlords.
Warlords was Lois and Bill.
And then Battle Mages.
Battle Mages, and then there was a cleric.
So
Yeah.
your 4
No,
basic
We
classes.
said screw the Crusader.
Yeah.
So each one got little props. So the shadows got a dagger. I mean, it was blunted, but I could have still
metal.
stabbed him
Yeah.
Sure,
if I wanted
absolutely.
to.
Once it's made of metal,
Yeah.
blunted doesn't cover all. It's
Exactly.
thin and made of metal. It's
Yeah.
going somewhere.
And that was cool. And it was about this big or
Yeah,
so.
it was
So
it
we
was
got to
legit.
flash that around. And we got a cloak. And then the Warlords got a sword. It was like a foam sword.
You get to flash your dagger at people.
Yes.
Lots of flashing.
Because it was just a sword, right? Okay. And then
that's it.
the Battle Mages got.
Stabs, little necklaces, and spellbooks.
Yeah, the coolest thing was
You
those
guys got
spell
cloaks,
books.
too.
Because they're
yeah.
small little leather
they're
bound
like this.
things.
Yeah.
That you
They
could,
had-
yeah,
You actually
like
inserted
that.
your spell cards into them.
Yeah.
keep track
Which,
of.
of course, you lost.
Yeah,
your
well,
spell.
I had 3 things to keep track of.
And then the Crusaders or Paladins or whatever, they got.
I have a good memory. It worked
maces.
out.
Yeah,
So
getting these
crosses.
like
You
holy
just
shit.
go to
Contacting
those and you,
them. Yeah,
you get your trinkets, then move on to the orientation.
Right.
Training.
Yeah, it was a surprisingly comprehensive rule set. You know, I was on board with doing this.
It was almost like our speed run.
Kind of, yeah.
It wasn't
Like
that far off.
for having it described to me as like, hey, it's kind of like a LARP, but it's put on by these haunted house people, and you go through. You know, I was kind of expecting kind of a watered down kind of an experience, but they had clearly really done their homework and figured out like, okay, these are our rule sets, and this is like the 3rd or 4th year that they've done this in a row. It was actually like the last episode in their campaign.
Yeah.
I was actually talking to a buddy of mine who had seen, because we were theorizing that they make things harder or easier.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
like, oh yeah, they told the GMs have a spreadsheet that's like, if they come in with this many players, this is how many hit points.
Yeah,
they
because we
have.
couldn't see their hit
So-
points, so I knew there were
So-
ways they could easily be adjusting
Yeah.
it based on
Yeah.
what they saw.
So they have a spreadsheet for all the different scenarios.
Yeah, that's worth mentioning too. Every single one of these encounters that I described as a craps table not only had the actors that were playing whatever those characters were, but just like me as a dungeon master, they had a rules guy right there that was not only delegating, or not delegating,
Basically, the DM.
but yeah,
Yeah, it was
basically
the DM. It
saying
was
like,
exactly the
that's
DM.
a hit and you do this much damage, but it was also like describing the action and clarifying rules whenever that was necessary, that kind
And
of
actually,
thing.
there's a little bit of flavor text here. The better
Oh,
one
totally.
would describe the people you're seeing
Mhm.
ahead of you.
Absolutely. So we got sort of geared up. Oh, before we get into that, Herbie, I was talking a little bit about the comprehension of like the rule stuff and that kind of thing. Describe how we arrived at our class makeup.
Oh.
I'll be right back.
Oh.
No, you keep talking.
Okay, fair enough. I guess we heard enough times. We were the first ones talking about. So we were looking over the elite classes, and for the most part, the classes were pretty balanced. But there were some issues maybe with the Crusader because it seemed like all of their abilities were once per combat, but the actual caster class had an entire spellbook full of those things that did a lot of the same things. Turned out the only thing Crusaders could do that was unique was re-rolling one attack per
They can also
encounter.
halt an undead.
Skip an undead's turn.
Yeah, but that
But that was
okay.
limited because you couldn't halt anyone. It had to be just an undead.
Yeah, I mean, the mages had like 2 spells that could hold anything.
Yeah.
without any restrictions
Yeah,
other
they had
than
hold monster.
like we hold monster and blind.
Yeah.
So we decided based on that, we don't need Crusaders. We'll just double up on mages. It'll be
Right,
fine.
because we could have the other advantage of Crusaders is they could heal, but you got the
Warlords.
Warlords could heal, battle mages.
Right. So,
Yeah.
so an important clarification there. I think Ryan touched on it, but so all of this is for charity, and so there are the basic classes, but there are these premium classes that are just the basic classes, just better in every single way. It was absolutely a not pay to win, but it was pretty clearly like pay straight up for advantages, and that's not just like the classes and stuff like that. That was like +1 to hit tokens, new spells, potions, resurrection scrolls, and so we very deliberately gave them a lot more money for an advantage.
Yeah.
But I feel less mercenary about it because it was for cancer.
Well, no,
Yeah.
for sure.
Also,
Microtransactions usually enrage me.
Yeah.
But for charity, it's like, sure, good, go
As a
for it.
shadow, shadow mindset going into there. I don't know if you noticed, but it was very much, oh, hey, Raisin. It was very much, oh, we purchased the elite package, and they're like, oh yeah, just take all this stuff. There's no like, all right, let's see the receipts.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Well, even as Ryan so helpfully mentioned, even when I lost my spellbook, no one was.
Yeah.
I admit, no one was like that.
Raisin's still upset about that.
Yeah.
Apparently. Yeah. Anyway.
Do we want to go about how we did like room by room?
Well, before we even embarked upon our adventure, Bill, what catastrophe befell us?
He died.
That's right. Herbie died. Herbie was literally dead
Yeah,
for the entire
yeah.
night. It
Yeah.
sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Luckily
during
we had the resurrection
so
spell.
during training we had to fight like an elite squad of
That's
guards.
not what I meant, but okay,
not
yeah,
the
yeah.
rain.
But yes,
Knows
there
about
hail.
this.
There was rain and hail, and we had to like wait out the storm, and there was even a tornado watch and everything, and we were all we were pulled into this like shack that
Kind of a murder
had
shack.
kind of a murder shack.
It was like an old timey tavern.
Water was kind of like leaking through it in
Where there were some
places.
dead bodies.
But yeah, it hailed even while we were out there.
It
so.
was
Hello.
a significant storm, and this was with
Yeah.
clear skies going out there. This thing literally just happened as we were standing there. The guy that runs the entire thing came out and gave us all a big warning, talking about like, if this happens, here's what we need to do. And we were not by ourselves out there. There were 3 or 4 other groups that were certainly more off ahead in the adventure that we hadn't seen, but there were a lot of other people that were also waiting to do it while that was happening. And literally, just like that, ice cubes just falling out of the sky. The big tarp tent that we were in for the training section really started to. It seemed a
Blow
little
away.
questionable, and then they moved us into this questionable tavern, and
That was leaky.
it was a little leaky. And
Tavern shack.
I have to say, aside from the worrying about whether or not you're going to die, and tapping your foot and waiting to start the adventure, the ambience was incredible.
Yeah, that
like we're all dressed up as a bunch of adventurers waiting in a tavern.
all the actors.
in a dark and stormy night.
It wasn't,
Exactly.
it wasn't like we were in the break room and everyone was like, in their normal clothes or something. It was like people.
That was one of the coolest moments. Is we were all like super geared up. We were next in line because they do it every 15 minutes. They send the
Right.
group out, and we're standing out here like kind of looking off into the distance, and you see just
Lightning and
this lightning
stuff.
and thunder, and it's sort of chilly but still kind of warm out. And I'm like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
And then we died.
Not all of us died. So then we actually, once the storm cleared up, like 45 minutes later, so we embarked upon our adventure. And Lobos, why don't you describe for us the beginnings of our journey to end the threat of the Lich King?
Yeah.
The other
Well,
Lich King.
we
Yes,
ran-
there are many Lich Kings, it turns out.
We ran into this, I think he was a cleric, right?
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was kind of shaken
Brother,
up.
brother Kendall.
Cleric of the
Candlemark, that was him.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was kind of like, he was a little antsy, and he led us to this cathedral where,
Well, before the cathedral, didn't we find someone?
Yeah.
I guess for the quest.
Well, no, there was someone
the
that
dead
was
noble.
hanging.
Oh, yeah,
the guy
that's
hanging in
right.
the-
Had his
Or
blood
drained.
drained.
Drained of his blood.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I
Yeah,
forgot about that.
lots of
Half of
people had blood
half of
drained.
his
Like
skull
I'm
missing
wearing it
or
now. The
brain.
name
Well,
of the
so-
event is Black Blood Rising, and I guess last year the Lich King was destroyed, and I guess the theme was this year the clerics were gathering royal blood to like
Bring him back.
bring him back with his phylactery.
Right.
What's a phylactery? It was a common question from NPCs.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead. So we went to the cathedral.
Yeah, so we met a dude, witnessed somebody who'd been murdered and drained, and then we went to a cathedral, and he was like, "All right, go in there.
I changed the passcode. I don't know what it
he's
is.
like, I know what the passcode
That's
is.
right.
He's like, and he tries to hit it. And
It
Yeah,
doesn't work.
Yeah, and it was basically this big door with like there's 8 total buttons,
Yep.
I think,
Yeah.
4 on
Each
each side, and they're like these little pressing
With like
things.
lights and
Yeah,
stuff
they're-
like
they're
that.
like-
They're built
yeah.
in. It was
They were like
really, really
electronic like buttons and stuff. So when
Yeah.
you hit them, like lights would flare up and stuff.
Mhm.
Yep.
And then like off to the side, like each one had a symbol on it, and then off to the side there was like a hint.
or whatever.
Yeah,
I think,
so
yeah.
a note left by somebody to hint to like what order to press the symbols in.
Mhm.
And sure enough, when you did it in the right order, the door just goes. I was like,
Yeah.
that's pretty badass.
Yeah, there were
That's like my
a
favorite thing.
enormous
My favorite
number
puzzle.
of puzzles there. I was really, really
Yeah.
impressed with that. And then once we got in there, I think it was our first combat.
Yep, yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
John?
The Death Knights.
Yep, we've fought
Not
three,
Death Knights, just skeletons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
3 skeletons or whatever, undead, and it was actually really impressive because they kind of prepare you. They say when we're on training, they're like, anytime you see a table, you're going to kind of, happen to an encounter. So
Mhm.
we went in there, and sure enough, the guys came in there, and they said, they tell you they don't break character. So they came in, and they're like, who, they tried to jump scare us a little bit or whatever, but like, who so dares enter this cathedral? And we're, put on the brave face, and we're like, we do,
We're the
like-
brave adventurers. We're here to vanquish evil.
Yeah, exactly. I think Bill was the first one to
And become the greater evil afterwards. Oh, sorry, I didn't say
was
that
the
part.
first to
Wrong
retort,
character,
and
wrong set of
taunt.
characters.
Didn't say that part out
He
loud.
was very taunty that night.
Yeah.
And Bill was.
Yes, I was
got a lot of
Robin
background.
Hood.
That's
Because
right.
So apparently, if you have a feather in your hat, that instantly makes you Robin
Even
Hood.
if your
to
entire
everyone.
outfit's blue.
Yeah.
It looked green. It did look green in a lot of the lighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the lighting and the darkness, it
It
looks.
also has Robin Hood written on the back.
Yeah, oh,
It
yeah,
did.
yeah.
And
Someone put like a kick me sign, Robin Hood on the back. So
But the DM came out, and he was one of the ones that did like the flavor test. He's like, before you see, and he kind of really set the scene. Like it was like first encounter, and it really was like one of those things that makes the first impression. And it was like I think it was done really, really well.
Yeah.
You
So
know.
all 3 of these guys were wearing like battle armor. They had a distinctive weapon that was like, okay, that's the fighter guy.
Oh, they had skull faces, too.
And they had
Yeah,
skull
skull faces.
faces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they actually had like full like high quality latex like light up eyeball skeleton faces
Yeah.
where their mouth would sort of move a little bit when they were
Yeah,
talking, and every single one of them was taunting us the entire time.
Yeah, I
through.
don't want to undersell how awesome the costumes were just across the board
Absolutely.
for the most part. I mean,
Yeah.
these were
It's here I have to point out that perhaps in order to make sure that people come out and see for themselves, cameras and any kind of phone or anything like that
They
is
can take
not
video.
allowed.
There will be-
No
there will be
phones,
one
no
picture.
photos, no.
There
Yeah.
will be one picture coming. They take a picture of you at the very end as your
Yeah.
group and still in costume. I think we were told it would be a few weeks for that to finally
Maybe,
get
yeah.
emailed, but we will, I imagine, find some way to get that to
Yeah.
the stream as
That's-
soon as possible.
Kind of part of why we're doing the postmortem in the first place is that the only way that we have to share this incredible experience with you is just to tell you all about it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now we did pretty darn well against the skeletons, and of course we got some loot from that, and we got to open our first treasure chest of the night.
They actually have little treasure chests made out of wood there, and
Right.
they
But you don't necessarily get to open.
Yeah, you have to.
Right.
You have to have a shadow or
Well, I
somebody.
think that the GM would. I'm not sure how it works, but I think the GM would have been like, "Oh, that was trapped. You take damage."
Maybe.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
sure.
That's
I was
true.
a little unclear.
'Cause
But
we
I
had
think
two
it was like
shadows, yeah.
two shadows.
I thought it was
basically-
you need lockpicks.
I don't know.
The
I don't
shadow
know.
has the
No,
lockpick
the lockpicks,
ability.
they
Right.
do, yeah. So yes, they have the lockpick ability, but they say they like disarm traps also at the same time. So I don't know how that works.
I don't know.
But we opened it up, and there was a
And
little,
inside-
a little baggie of Ritz crackers.
There was.
like,
Yeah,
the
so
little
snack
ones
time.
with,
Rich sandwiches.
sandwiches with
Which
little
we
cheese butter.
immediately ate.
Yes.
So
we did.
we would quickly find that every room would have one chest in it that would have
Yeah.
a rations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just
We
about
found
every.
Cheetos. I think in
Cheetos,
one.
yeah, Chewy bar.
Although
Two bags.
there was one that we found, and I told you guys about this, that as a shadow was really cool because you guys were distracted with
Cheetos.
whatever.
Healing and doing all the
healing,
stuff like getting
and
stuff
I
out of
open
the
up
bowl.
the chest
some
and I
chips.
see a granola bar and a little coin. It was an anti-magic coin, which
Mm-hmm.
basically means I could dispel like an enemy spell. And so I palmed that, and then it's like, hey, look what I found. I gave you guys the granola bar, and you guys were super happy. And I was like, pray tell, what do you have there?
Yeah, he's seen that trick before.
Yeah. Takes
That
a shadow
was-
to no shadow.
That was super cool to experience that, like actually doing that sleight of hand, because they had asked I don't know who it was, it might have been you or who asked the kind of the rules guy at the beginning of the game, like, hey, can we roll for sleight of hand? And the guy's like, hey, it's real life. Sleight of hand is what it is.
Yeah.
Theft.
So that was really cool.
Another important thing, or not important, but interesting thing about the combat is when you go there. So they've got the craps table, or whatever, and on our side they've got 6 bowls. You know, where when you step up to that table, you have to empty out. You get a little satchel that has your hit points, your tokens, your gold, or whatever. You dump everything out, you know, into that bowl. Yeah, everything. You know, basically, you know, everything that is your life. You know, right there.
And your bowl position is always the same.
Yeah.
Like, once you get there, they tell you, all right, rogues go first, then warriors, then wizards.
Yeah.
And so wherever you stand in the training area, that's just where you are for every single combat.
Yeah. And so typically after combat, we would be very ingrained in like, okay, how many hit points do you have left? You know, what do you have? And going through the loot and making sure everybody, you know, like Herbie had enough gold to do his Philosopher's Stone and you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he had a spell that could transmute gold into healing points.
Yeah. Just like real life.
Yeah.
So after we did the skeleton fight, we moved into another puzzle. Is that right?
We met a noble, as a matter of
The
fact.
noble that was
Oh,
dying.
the noble.
The guy I knew from
Yes, that's
Cosmic
right.
Encounter.
Yeah.
And I was very displeased with how we handled that situation.
I had to save him.
Well-
I knew the guy.
Yeah, the royal guy was like bleeding out, and he was like, "Does anybody have a +4 heal token?"
Which costs like
It was like
$5.
And I had one, and Herbie had one, and
You ended up giving
Without
I was like,
hesitation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, "Sure, we'll heal you," because I figured he would give us something, and then he was mostly just like, "Oh, good, you need to keep going." And I was
Keep
like,
going that way.
Well,
The only way out of this room.
I still wonder. I mean, with the, we haven't mentioned this yet. They had a pretty clever system of radios and whatnot for talking to each other. I have to wonder. Maybe there were changes that happened or would have happened based on different answers to that.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, but I think they should have made that more apparent.
Yeah, they should have made it more apparent, but
Yeah.
I'm not willing to assume it was absolutely nothing yet. Because
giant neon sign, path unlocked.
Yeah, even like a callback. Like we later on met a goddess, and if she would have been
Yeah.
like, "Oh, we know that you've been helpful to those out there,"
Maybe,
whatever.
actually, maybe that's why we. Well, I don't want to get ahead of it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
there was a circumstance I met. Now I wonder maybe if that didn't happen. But anyway,
There was a lot of that with me in particular because the website had sort of advertised it as multiple choices, choose good or bad options, like Paragon and Renegade type stuff. So I was always kind of like leading the NPCs that we would encounter of like, what if I wanted to join the Lich King? It wasn't quite so obvious as that to begin with, but eventually I started getting
by the time you
into
actually
it.
got
like,
to the Lich King, it was like, "Hey, are you hiring?"
yeah,
That's actually
and,
true, yeah.
and it was very difficult. I don't know if it could have been because of the way the rest of the audience was set up, or because of the storm. The storm certainly, I think, threw a kink in their schedule.
Sure.
So it's difficult to tell how much of that was real and how much we missed, or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then after we met that noble, yes, we encountered another very, very good
Which
puzzle.
was really well constructed and was really clever.
Yes, but we were really stupid.
I think we
were pretty close to
on the
solving
we
it.
were on the
Yeah.
cusp
Yeah, we
of
finally
solving
figured
it.
out the thing we were getting wrong right at the
So
end.
there was a puzzle with the faces of the moon in 3 different columns, and you had to basically, based on the text, figure out how to rotate the columns to get it all to line up.
Right.
And I think what happened is, while messing around with the puzzle to try and figure out what we were supposed to do, we actually kind of unlocked it.
Well, I have another
Because then the
theory.
door
We're supposed
opened.
to ring
There's
the
a little bell that
bell.
was supposed to ring.
We never
yeah.
did that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you remember, but right before the door opened, I heard a loud voice say, "The goddess is pleased with you," and open it. Maybe just
Yes.
hurry the frick out.
I guess that's what it
Because I mean, they
was.
can't let you stay in there forever and get
Because
stuck.
I did
There's
hear
a grip
another
behind
group.
you.
Yeah, I did.
It's like,
hear
"The goddess
another
is
group
pleased with you. Please move your asses."
Which was a lot. It was very disappointing. To go through a puzzle and come so close and be like, "All right, you figured it out. You're close enough."
We got stuck on the last line. That last line was something like,
But they got to do
that happened
something
a couple
when,
times.
when
Yeah.
groups are coming up behind you, and
right.
They have to
and
run
I
some
think
of
Which
these-
I blame on the rain mostly.
Yeah.
right.
Because they seemed like before we went, it seemed like they were doing a really good job of pacing. It wasn't actually 15 minutes apart from the
Yeah.
groups. It was just when they felt like that group was far enough ahead that
Right.
they were the next one would have.
So
plenty of
the
time
next
to-
room was, I think, your favorite room, right?
It was the dog room.
It was or it
Yeah.
wasn't. So we met like this elf
Witch.
witch lady.
I think she was
Yeah.
supposed to be like a goblin or
Like-
something.
Yeah,
I think she might have been
goblin.
like supposed to be a goblin, And she was looking at us like, what the hell is going on? We marched in and we formed a semicircle around her, and then I saw she had a dog, and I was like, hi! And I just focused entirely on the dog. And I'm pretty sure it's just that this person did not have a dog sitter for the night, and so just brought her
At least it
well-behaved
was really,
dog.
yeah, it was a
with
very,
her.
very
She kept
well
saying
behaved
like, "Don't mess with him. That's my food."
But I just
my
kept,
meal.
it was still a good dog.
It's a golden retriever.
And again, I think it was a pacing thing where we tried very hard to get some information out of her of like what lies ahead, and there was some stilted like, oh, the master, he gives me pretties, and that kind of thing where we were trying to get like,
Yeah.
well, do you have a quest for us or that kind of
Information,
thing?
yeah.
And really, I think she was there to keep us
Yeah,
in this room
I
until
think-
we could move into the next stream.
Yeah, I think most of the NPCs and puzzles were, to some degree at least, meant to be just artful distractions.
Right.
Time
you know, just in
gating.
case.
Yeah,
Hey, yeah.
in and of that, they were very, very
Yeah.
good.
I didn't even realize that was what was going on until we were almost done.
No,
Yeah,
absolutely,
exactly.
absolutely.
Yeah, until the rogue.
Well, the only reason I noticed
Tell
it,
the thief.
yeah, we'll
Yeah.
get to him, but
Sure. Ah, yes.
We'll
Well,
get to him.
eventually we got past the witch, and that led us to.
Level up.
Another fight?
No.
I think there was
Oh,
the
yeah, right.
Dark
Grendel.
Cleric,
Grendel and
Yeah.
Grendel the Flesh Golem, who actually had like some hook weapons or
Yeah.
something like that. That was pretty fun fight, as a matter of fact.
Yeah,
I think that one
It was like a room full of cages.
he
and,
got
like,
double
chains.
attacks too, which
He
was
did get
kind of
double attacks.
nasty.
he did get double
He also
attacks.
had an
But-
he also had a cleave.
But that was our third time actually playing as a team, and by that point, I think we were really like honed in our okay,
Yeah,
keep this guy locked
holding
down.
and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Where the cleric just didn't get turns for the first
Right.
3 rounds,
Yeah.
and everyone else just focus fired the other guy down completely.
So it was pretty cool because when we went in, it was just a cleric, and his first round was like resurrecting
Waking up
Mm.
or waking him
this
up.
zombie that had been sitting on
Yeah.
the ground next to him.
Yeah,
Grendel.
they have a
Yeah.
lot of really cool, like not jump scares necessarily, but appearances of
Yeah.
other characters.
Yeah.
Where you thought you were in an encounter like this, but it turned out there's another person that comes in from the back and that kind of thing.
Well, it's weird. Even the DMs do that because I remember in the first room we had kind of gotten arranged in the first room, and I was standing right next to where the DM apparently had been just standing
Oh, yeah.
silently. I almost got a jump scare out of that. It's like, oh, it's just the DM. And he was like, but they were all in black cloaks and
Right.
stuff. So
Right.
We also because we know that these guys put on haunted houses, we were like very wary. I would say for like the first 3/4 of the whole thing of like
Oh, that's
marching
right.
order and like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
very, like,
I was
we
very
were-
deliberate of like,
You're
all right,
adamant.
put a
Take
tank
it
in the
front,
back.
take it back,
Because I
she's in
didn't
the
want
middle.
someone to show up and be like, haha, this character is now at half HP or something
Yeah,
like that,
yeah.
you know? Because that's totally a thing
Which
that
would have been
a
awesome.
dungeon master would do
Yeah.
in that kind of a
That would have been totally
circumstance.
awesome too if they would have incorporated that. Unfortunately,
Sure.
that's a little one of the marks that they missed.
Or they might not have been able to accommodate that.
Well,
'Cause, I mean, like time constraints and.
I realized after the fact that we're a pretty seasoned group of adventurers,
we're
so to
probably way
speak.
above average on a lot of that kind of stuff.
right.
And I think that they had a lot of seasoned adventurers running things and that kind of thing, but we were the only ones that were there on the hero side that were in full costume when we showed up. Most of the other people were showing up, and not to knock them, but not everyone is a set of.
Yeah.
No, not everyone's the squad of truth.
Untruth.
And so a lot of people were just there in their t-shirt
So,
and
yeah,
jeans.
Michael Jordan jersey. or
Exactly.
something.
Yeah, right.
And so we're just sort of there of like, what's going on? What's going on? Oh, I'll roll the dice. That's
they're
what
there
those
to-
people sound like.
They're just have fun and go through it.
Exactly. And so I think the full spectrum of what a DM might be able to do in
Kinda have
order
to
to
hold back a
screw
little.
people over
Yeah.
or to complicate matters with different choices might have been like
And that makes sense.
Well,
maybe beyond most people's
But
expectations.
true, when we were standing in the staging area, though, we were like, extra hard mode or something like that, and
Oh, yeah.
the woman was like, "Be careful, they can hear you. They might actually do it." So I wish there was like a way that we could like set a difficulty level.
I don't know. We had
something like
we
that.
had 2 deaths that had to be fixed with resurrection scrolls.
That's
We-
true,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I mean,
And we were doing pretty well.
we
Yeah.
were doing
Yeah.
really well.
For the
Like,
most
that was
part,
like
yes.
the last third, I think.
After,
of the-
after
Sure.
the Grendel fight, we all leveled up.
That's right.
Yeah.
We leveled up by the grace
Met-
of one of the
The
goddesses.
Yeah.
sarcastic
She
goddess
was-
of healing.
Yeah.
So-
Making fun of
They
Bill.
started
Yeah.
doing a lot of black lights. I
Yes,
noticed.
whenever you
Yeah.
were in a temple of the moon or goddess type situation, there would be a room that was set up with black lights and painting and face paint and outfits
Right.
designed
Like
to take
glowing
advantage.
Which
designs.
kind of makes
exactly.
me want to do black, get the black light ink next year and put it all over my face.
So you're normal everywhere else.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then you walk
oh my
over.
God, this is a radiant divine being.
I thought you were gonna put like an obscene design.
Yeah,
on
that's
it or
right, yeah.
something like that.
Just right over your face.
Oh man.
Excellent. So we all leveled up. We got some more goodies.
Just in time.
And then, is that right when we fought the
It was
Lich
all
King?
right.
Well,
There was
before.
one other little interlude before.
We ran
the
into a
lady in
prisoner.
that we left there.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, the
Sure,
prisoner
Vi's
we
still
left
there.
behind.
Which that was really weird.
That was really well. I think we thought again. I think most players were expecting more of a haunted house experience.
Uh-huh.
We, of course, so we got into this prison area, and there was a lady, just a normal lady, in the prison who was like, "Please help, save me, save me, save me." And we were like, "Okay, how?" And then she was like, "Oh, we'll go into the next room and fight the
Yeah.
I think we
Fight the
even
cleric
mentioned,
who has
like,
the key.
Picking the locks, and she's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I think it's magically locked." And I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, well, we have all kinds of wizards.
Yeah.
I would try to cast Illuminate to light up
Oh,
like,
yeah, yeah.
literally every
Yeah,
area.
yeah, so we should go back
Yeah,
a little
then we
bit.
need to
He
do
took
that
the
too.
Illuminate spell, and in every
course.
single room he's like, Illuminate!
It had an effect. It had an effect one time. A guy
No.
took out a flashlight and just started following us
think
And I
around.
don't think that was intentional.
I
Like,
think
that was
that was
not even
supposed to
supposed to happen.
I don't know. He did it though. He
It
followed us
seems-
around for about.
It seems unbelievable that they would offer that as an option and have it.
You got it.
Well, remember, they said
Well,
some paths...
Well, then it would
They
never.
did warn us it might not work very often.
there was some
They're not
paths
very
that we
often.
missed.
Say again.
There were a couple paths that we missed.
Were they really?
Remember, there was that one doorway where there was 2 exits out.
Sure.
I was also talking to another guy.
They might have been backstage.
Yeah.
I don't know. We have to
I know-
go back.
I know.
Can we play it again?
There were a couple
They
of...
probably take our money.
They only have one weekend left this coming weekend, I think. Is it? That'd be the last time.
Should we go back? I don't know.
We can decide later.
Yeah. I don't know.
Lich
Okay.
King fight.
Yeah. The Lich
This
King-
guy had personality.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
dude,
This
he
this
did.
guy was one of the
Bring it,
absolute
bitches.
best
Yeah.
actors.
Just flicking us off.
Yeah,
He had
Lich King was like...
he had these big hands.
Yeah.
Like, this
Huge
big.
hands.
Yeah.
It's like, what's up, my brothers? I'm gonna beat your ass.
And we're not kidding, by the way.
No,
Yeah,
no.
Lich King had like giant monster hands and
Yeah.
giant like Lich King face and like gray dead hair. He was like in a robe and everything. He had like the whole
Yeah.
ensemble.
He was
and
a
everything.
lich.
Yeah.
And he had some bros.
Yeah, he had some
And
bros.
we
He had like a
focus fired
cleric
him
and a
down.
death knight.
Yep.
Well, the start of
we
the
couldn't damage him until we damaged these other 2
Yeah, we took
guys.
care of the cleric first.
Yeah.
Yeah, we threw a 9-point fireball at them, I believe it was.
Oh,
it was
that's right,
9 point.
that's right.
I initiated the fireball, and anyone can spend plus damage tokens on anyone else's attack.
Right.
So I
Big
threw the
fireball is how much?
fireballs normally 2 to all
2 to
enemies. So we
everything.
threw like 7 damage tokens, and the lich was like, "Hey, stop that!"
The Lich got to do some cool stuff too, because he was like double casting and like chain lightning. And,
I think
like,
someone got
Fireball
charmed.
of his own.
Yeah, he charmed me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He charmed-
yeah.
He said,
And
"I'm
he
gonna."
stabbed
And
himself.
of course, I had a feather in my hat, so he was like, "I'm gonna charm Robin Hood, the ugly one over there." I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah, he did call you the ugly one.
Yeah,
Then he shot you the bird.
"Aw."
Yeah.
And
And
then
then he asked you to stab.
flip me the bird, and then he ordered me on my turn to stab myself, basically trying to kill myself.
And you roll a 1.
But then I rolled a 1,
Yeah.
so it's like,
That's right.
so I guess I didn't hit myself, but I could have wrapped around.
I'm glad that it didn't.
Yeah, we had enough trouble with that fight.
But yeah, so I,
Well, the
I
other thing that just reminded me, one of the great things about the Shadow class is you could deflect any melee blow once per combat.
right.
So, and because you deflect it to the person to the left of you. So you were to the left of me,
Yep.
and then you would deflect it onto him.
Yeah, so I was taking their damage. Like they keep deflecting, but as a warlord, I could also like block and stuff, so I could like parry physical
The
blows.
wizards
and-
could also cast shield on you to absorb a physical attack, so we were actually
Yeah.
able to make decent use of that.
right.
Yeah, and it was actually funny when we were doing the training. The guy that was training us was like, "No clerics? Ooh, brave!" Like
Yeah.
I read
we
the
did-
book.
It's like,
yeah,
we
exactly.
got
Like,
this.
we didn't know what we were talking about.
We
It's
planned for this
like, this is
one.
an interesting strategy, you know? Yeah.
Well,
heavy-
admittedly,
heavy
but then those little kids beat the hell out of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we won that
They
fight.
were a
But they had
level higher.
tokens.
They-
and they had
yeah,
level
they had
higher.
tokens.
They were higher, and
So-
they had like a lot of tokens.
Again,
Yeah.
like
And every single one of them was super sassy.
They were super sassy.
Those
yeah.
kids
the
had
Crusader,
sharp
the
tongues.
Crusader wasn't sassy. She wasn't a kid though.
That's
so
fine.
again, we were talking about
She was
the
low key, but she was still sassy.
We're talking about
she
the
was like,
training
I'm gonna
group.
curse the cute one.
training
Oh.
group at the start, and that's
Okay,
the
yeah,
group
that's
that
you.
managed to kill Herbie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
course, I was only training, so they brought
Yeah.
him back.
Yeah.
I thought that was like what the whole thing was gonna be like. I'm like, we're not gonna make it through
Yeah,
this.
no, exactly. I thought that this is the training. What we were
Seriously.
in trouble.
Yeah, because we got pretty beat up.
Well, that's probably why they do that and then shuffle you off to the merch
Yeah.
stand.
Buy
Like,
tokens.
do
Hey,
you want
tokens
to buy
are
some
awesome.
healing
You should buy
tokens?
some.
Right,
Which
exactly.
I'm glad we bought.
Yeah,
but
we needed them.
Yeah,
and
we
again,
did.
in a
We did.
normal microtransaction game would be furious, but charity that makes it cool.
Sure.
All okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, we beat the Lich.
We did
We
beat
did
the
beat
Lich.
the Lich.
But there was, I mean, we didn't find his phylactery, so
Yeah.
it was like, oh, he's gonna come
He
back.
was laughing at us as he died, saying, "I'll return again."
In a few
And-
minutes to fight the next. I mean,
So then we went to the next room, which was kind of like a weird, dark room with whispers and like mirrors and like crystal balls. And there was like a note there where we learned about the Lich's phylactery and
Right.
what we
That was
needed
what.
to do.
Wasn't that the first time you tried to cast Illuminate?
That was the first
Yeah.
major landmark.
Yeah.
Was that the,
'Cause
was
it was
that
a-
the place where we
It was
found
really
the
dark in
door?
there.
It was totally dark room. It was.
It was the Lich's like chambers.
It's
where we
it's the
went
one
in
where we
there, and
found
it
a
had
giant
big-
chest that had
big
nothing in
chest.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nothing in it.
Oh, yeah, it had the secret door because as I was going out, the GM said like, "Search the secret door on the other side of the room."
Oh,
Oh,
I didn't
yeah.
hear that
And
at
then
all.
I was like, and then I told you guys, I'm like, I have a feeling there's a secret door around here.
I didn't
Oh.
realize that. I
You
didn't
should've
connect
been a lot
that
more-
to like input you had received.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
like you were
Yeah.
just saying it.
I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be like whispers in the air or he was just like, "Hey, hurry up and get through here."
I don't know.
Anyway, then the following room we ran into
Another cleric.
another cleric, priestess of the
Priestess,
moon,
yeah.
who told us
She
basically.
had a fucking like LED forehead thing.
No,
Lighting
that
up.
was after the other one.
Yeah,
Oh,
that was
there was
yeah,
a-
that was yeah.
Right,
that was-
this one was the one that
this-
told us about
oh,
the
yeah.
other, about the actual goddess
yeah.
or whatever.
Oh
Is it-
yes, yes.
Quest NPCs, go here,
Yeah,
now go
She
here,
was,
go
she
here,
was,
go here,
she
go
had
here.
been attacked and was like bleeding.
Right, the
Yeah.
cleric was
She was
bleeding.
fighting it. She was like
Yeah.
trying to keep the Lich out of because that was the last
The inner
room.
sanctum,
Yeah.
the holy,
Yeah, the
holiest of
holiest,
holies,
yeah.
or something.
Right.
Yeah, the cleric was trying to hold back the Lich, and she told us about the goddess that we needed to run into, and the goddess would give us a trial that if we passed, we'd be able to get a powerful weapon that would help us on our journey. So then we went to the next area, which was the goddess's area.
Convenient.
And she did have this crazy, like, LED, like, glowing, pulsating light.
Yeah.
It was like a
eyeball
headband thing though, because I think there was like lights over here too.
It wasn't
Yeah.
like constant either. It was like weird. It was like it would like flash a little bit
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then
It was
stop
really weird. It was
and then
rad.
flash.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Cool.
she gave us a trial where she split all of us, our
Yeah.
whole party of 6, into each of us had to go individually into our own room where we had our own
Like a little
puzzles,
stall.
our
Like
own
they
puzzle we had
arranged
to
like,
solve.
like a row of like
Yeah.
phone
Which
banks.
was one of my
So
favorite.
separated
This was
with
one of my
walls.
favorite rooms.
Absolutely,
It
yeah.
was like, oh, we've got to like each of us has got to get this on our own.
This was the most nerve-wracking one.
Yes,
for me.
yes.
Absolutely,
You know?
absolutely.
Do you want
And-
to go around the table and tell what puzzles we had?
Absolutely.
So apparently it was timed, although she didn't really make a note of
She
it.
didn't say that when she pushed us in there.
Yeah.
But the instructions on the wall, it turns out, at the very end says, you have 60 seconds, go.
I don't think mine's
mine didn't say that.
I didn't
Oh.
say that either.
Yeah.
Go, what the hell?
Mine wasn't the sort of thing you could deliberate on anyway. You either knew it or didn't. But
Mine
yeah.
absolutely said you have 60 seconds.
Anyway.
So I stood there and
Yes.
went, for 20 seconds. But go ahead.
Oh, you want me to start? All right.
Well, yeah, yeah.
Okay, mine was, I think, the hardest.
Yeah.
Because I was in there, I didn't know that they had all left without me, and I was sitting here and they're like shouting. They're like, so mine was there were 7 cubes, so six face cubes laying on the or like tied to ropes on the wall,
Okay.
and then a 7th one up here, and it said find the cube that matches this one. And they all had symbols on them, and I'm pretty sure that every single cube had all the right symbols, but you had to look at the orientation. So
Okay.
you'd have to visually look, alright, this one matched, alright, spin it around, and sometimes the arrow would be pointing the wrong way. And a lot of times I get to like the 5th side, and it's like, okay, this one doesn't match up, move on to the next one. And it took me forever to do that, and
Yeah.
I wasn't able to.
Literally forever. Like,
Yeah,
we had
he
to, like,
got
call-
called on
yes.
time.
Like, we'd been given the weapon already. Anyway, John?
Mine was a puzzle where it was like a griffin is
Yours
part-
is a riddle.
Yeah, it was basically a riddle. It was like
Okay.
something about a griffin being part bird, part snake, or part lion. Chimera is like 3 things. Pegasus is a bird, is a horse that was given the flight of like a bird or whatever, and a dragon is an animal unlike any other. And it's like something about the darkness and being able to use your fingers to tell whatever. And I had 4 tags down there that had Roman numerals, and that was it. It had 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I had to pick which Roman numeral represented the dragon. So I picked Roman numeral 4 because it was unlike the rest. You know, I had no idea. Like
So we think it was number 2 was the correct one for
this,
Yeah.
their thing is, and I don't see how because I mean it to me it'd either be 4 or 1 because 1
No, wait. So what were the other monsters?
I had it was a chimera,
A chimera.
a pegasus, and a
And a griffin.
griffin.
A 3, a 4,
And a 1
and a 1.
because the dragon isn't like anything, so
Yeah.
it doesn't have. It's not
That's
a
what I would
combination.
think. I would think the
Yeah.
dragon is a
Right, so
1.
that's
So
I'm
there's
saying-
not a combination of 2, maybe.
Yeah. There's
What-
not
What
none
is
of
the
those
griffin?
cre-
The
none
griffin
of
is a
those,
lion, an eagle, and a.
No, it's only a lion and eagle. It's not a horse.
none of those creatures
I don't
had
know,
2
it depends.
legs.
I guess
All
none
those
of them.
creatures had 4 legs, 3 legs, or 1 leg, which is the dragon. I guess.
Like a
If you're
like a
Chinese,
serpent?
no, dragons have legs.
Like a serpent.
I've seen dragons.
It could be, no, I'm
He's
saying
a
you're right,
dragon.
it could be like a serpent.
It could have been like a serpent type thing, maybe. But then I think 0.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's not
really.
one.
I mean,
I don't know.
They want to jump around like a pogo.
Anyways.
I don't know if I got it right because she didn't tell us. She just
Yeah.
kind of looked
No.
or whatever. But I thought it was 4 because it was the Roman numeral was unlike any other because it had the V in it, you know. So and that was what it literally said. It said dragon is unlike any other.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that's
V
kind
for
of
Vendetta.
Yeah.
I had a super easy one, I think, that was like, it had like a, like when you go to the optometrist and they have like the lines that keep getting smaller and smaller in text, and it's like, a good warrior needs good vision, blah, 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 blah. You should be able to tell, pick the symbol what it is, and then in the tiniest text, it's like, pick the symbol underneath the egg that is the color of grass green. And I was like, okay. And then over here, there was like little plastic Easter eggs that were cut up and put against the wall, and there was like a bunch of colors, and one was green. And I was like, well, that's green. So I took that, and it was 2. So
All right. My
It's far too late for it now, but I wonder if. Because we gave them our Twitch channel, I wonder if they're going to be like,
You're giving away all the
You're
secrets.
giving away the secrets for next weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, well, let's stop the broadcast.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry. Herbie, go ahead.
Yeah, well, anyway, my puzzle was simple,
Go
but
next
you were
year.
definitely either going to know it or you weren't. I went in the room, and first thing I saw was actually there was a compass on the floor, and I looked up, and there was a relatively small sign and 4 tags next to it. It said the goddess favors warriors who can keep their sense of direction. Which way is it to the entrance of the temple? And I was like, all right.
Oh, just the temple. I thought you meant the entrance to the entire thing.
No, the
Okay,
entrance to the
temple's not as bad. Then.
It wasn't as bad, but it's not like I'd been tracking an auto map in my head. We weren't, backtracking
Well,
wasn't really a
does
thing.
it mean the temple, as in the place that we just entered?
Yeah.
No, I meant like the place with the I assumed it meant the doorway with the puzzle because that was
With
the
the-
whole
with
thing
the
was to
gates.
get Temple
Yeah.
of the Moon.
Yeah.
So that's what I was assuming it meant. I picked north east. I don't know if that was actually correct or not, of course, because as mentioned,
What's the
we didn't-
second one?
That was answer 1. So I don't know if we don't know if it was correct or not, but that was my puzzle.
All right.
Mine was I just had to choose a joke. What joke would make the goddess smile? And I don't actually remember all the jokes, but a lot of them are like really lame, corny puns, so they were actually pretty great. But the one I ended up choosing basically was the one that like said like the moon is nothing compared to the smile of the goddess or whatever, and that was I guess to curry her favor or whatever, and that was number 2.
Well, just remember she's a goddess of the moon. I
That's,
think that's probably all you.
That's
were
what I thought. I was
looking
looking for like a
check on.
crescent moon
Yeah.
type because it looks like a smile.
Yeah,
So I chose the one that was basically like
pandering.
saying she was beautiful. Yeah, it was the pandering.
Isn't that really what religion is?
So I pandered away.
Home.
So
I
I did.
love you.
So I
Sorry,
did that,
Helm.
and mine was answer 2.
Cool.
But-
Mine was super nerve-wracking just because it was like visually like overwhelming. I had 9 tags on the wall, and then I realized 9 like small containers, like almost what you get like a film negative in, like one of those small kind of things. With all and those, so all 9 things had Roman numerals on them, and then also the little containers had Roman numerals on them, and they were heavy. And there were instructions, and there was also a set of scales hanging on the wall.
Physics.
I did a lot of crying in the room by myself. I was lonely, and I wanted my friends.
Went through the 5 steps of grief or whatever.
You know what?
Seconds.
I'm okay with this.
Bargaining.
So,
I accept
but
that.
then once I actually started, I solved it pretty quickly. So the idea was that there were 9 containers, and all of them were the same weight except for one, and I had to figure out which one was the heaviest, and then grab the tag for that and give that to the goddess. And so I just started grabbing them and dropping them as quickly as I could into the scales, seeing if it balanced out. And then I knew I could get rid of both of those. And like the second handful, I grabbed the correct one.
The funny thing is that's a real popular computer science problem,
Ooh.
and it's like, can you do this with only 2 measures or something like that?
Oh. Of music?
Huh?
2 measures of music?
Measurements.
Measurements.
Oh, sorry.
Right.
Not a math guy. Anyway, so we gave our answers, varied as they were, and we didn't get much of a response for a little while. Like, she was, like,
Yeah.
looking at him, like...
And I was trying to figure out what she was looking at or looking for, because it was kind of still that black light thing or whatever, and I was looking for, like, maybe like a dot or a check or
Or a
something.
raisin.
Well,
You know,
they may have
or
all just been
raisin.
supposed to be the same number.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
know.
they were all
Right.
supposed to be 2.
Yeah.
But she decided...
How many picked 2?
I think I picked 2.
Because
I
she
picked
was,
My super obvious one was 2.
So 3 of us
so-
picked 2.
So yeah, and there was only 5 of us at the time. Because
And
he
there's
was still
no-
in the stall.
Good way, I think, to tell, like, oh, well, this person was in that one.
Yeah, I think it had to be based on
Unless
numbers.
unless also written in her hand was, like, scrawled down notes.
Well, I was assuming that there was
In
like
black light.
Oh, geez.
yeah. Well, I was
Oh,
assuming.
no.
What happened?
Raisin, get out of here.
Raisins.
She's recording.
I was assuming that there was like a little mark on the back of each tag.
Twitch.
Because you're looking at the back of the tag, not the front.
Guess who's on Twitch?
You know.
Yeah.
So I was assuming there's like a
Oh,
little
it's
black
jealous.
light mark saying that yes, this one was right or
Oh,
whatever. You know.
interesting. Yeah. That's actually a good point.
But at the same time,
But
like,
we would have probably seen that also.
well, because the rooms we were in weren't blacklit. I mean,
Oh,
they had
they weren't.
they had the
Okay.
incandescent.
I'm gonna
you
guess
know,
that as
light.
long as more than half of us were right, we got it. So.
Well, so
Essentially took
the goddess eventually said, "It's not perfect,
Yeah.
but it'll do," or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
And then awarded us with the grand artifact, the Golden Sword.
yeah.
Which we later figured out was the sword of never missing.
Yes, the Golden
Pretty good
sword,
sword.
would
Yeah,
hit.
she mentioned it there.
Oh, she
Yeah,
did?
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay, I missed that then.
Yeah. You were all moon-eyed and didn't notice.
Yeah. Wow.
Polo. Which we gave to Lobos.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
And then marched out into the cold and the damp.
Warlord Lobos.
Right.
Gold sword.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even though it was a one-hander.
To be, I saw him
Yeah,
first.
I fucking saw him.
And I
He
said,
was
"Who
like,
goes
"Ah."
there?" I pointed right at him. He didn't say anything, and nobody like looked or anything like that.
I thought he
We
was
just kept
high as
talking.
hell.
I think he was
Yeah,
a little...
he was
He was
a little blaze.
fucking
Yeah.
tripping balls.
Yeah.
I mean, I was. And what did this? It was who wants to talk?
Do any of us want to talk about the thief? Let's move on.
Yeah.
He's like,
No, he's
I
worth-
robbed
he's-
you.
Yeah.
And he's like, I forgot which one I've robbed. Everyone line up. And so we lined up.
No, you said like former rogue.
Yeah.
Which is a
Former
really strange
Yeah,
term when you
yeah.
want people to form a
No,
single file line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
for
said
sure.
form a line. That confused us at first, or confused me at first.
Sure.
Like, I backed up into
Because
you.
we all started forming
You're
a line.
right.
I
No,
was
no,
like,
no,
I was
single
like,
file.
I don't want you to do
And
that.
after a bunch of fights with like a Lich King,
Yeah.
a Flesh Golem, a bunch of Death Knights, like this guy, and there was a little box there with some dice in it, so we thought, oh, I guess we're gonna fight this one pickpocket.
Yeah.
And so we were very
Yeah.
accustomed to like lining up on one
But
side
there were no
of the
balls
table.
or anything.
Yeah.
No, there weren't. So it was very like.
And
we were
also,
very confused.
we all had to tell him a joke, and maybe Herbie can.
No.
Yeah, Herbie should.
What
have
joke
it.
did you
It's
tell
like
him?
30. Maybe we should
You had
tell the
some
part
real-
2 next
you had Some
time.
real zingers, I think. Herbie.
So basically, we
Look, in my defense, before we all pile on poor Herbie who couldn't tell a joke, you guys have watched the stream. I can say some pretty funny things when I have a context, but if you just point at me and say, tell me a joke, my mind blanks. I can't think of anything. I have to have some kind of
What was
context.
the joke that you ended up telling?
I think
Why did
I-
the chicken cross the road?
Yeah,
That's right.
I don't even remember what I said after that. I don't think I had anything for
we're
it.
getting ahead of ourselves. We're getting ahead of ourselves. So the
It
thieves,
is 8:30.
after we get lined up in a row, so they wanted us basically in a row in front of him.
Mhm.
He said, "All right, to figure out which one of you I stole from, I want you each to tell me a joke, and whichever joke I pick is the one that I stole from, or something like that."
And then you have to like roll off to see if he succeeded on the sleight of hand or something like
Right,
that.
you'd have to
Yeah.
roll off against him. Whoever had the higher total would win. So,
And we all beat him.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
every single
one
time.
of us.
so
Yeah.
he actually ended up trying to steal from 3 of us, I think. And every time there was a roll, we won.
Right.
But basically, we went down the row telling jokes.
Wasting time.
You got
Yeah.
to you got to skip first though.
I did.
Because you were like, skip.
I
You
also-
did a lot of skipping.
I got to
Yeah.
skip like 3 times. It still didn't help me. I still couldn't come up with a good joke.
It became clear that something weird was going on, and eventually he admitted,
Yeah, he's like,
couldn't
I'm
let us
stalling,
go.
I'm stalling
I'm
for
stalling
time.
because the guys up ahead are stuck on their fight.
Which
Yeah.
the only reason I noticed this was when I noticed that the NPCs were there to kind of hold us up was because there was a reason we wanted to leave.
Yeah.
We were potentially getting stolen from every couple of minutes here. It's
Right.
like,
Well, we were also in the cold and the wet.
well,
Yeah.
that didn't bother me. Remember, I was the Philosopher's Stone guy. I had most of our freaking gold. I was like, this is not good.
Sure.
We need to leave.
Yeah.
Why can't we leave?
Yes, that was worrisome. But eventually we were allowed to continue on our way.
After being warned about the Were-Corgis.
They were told there were were-corgis up ahead. We were wandering into a very blood-cursed
Actually, we were
kind
just
of
told there were
environment.
corgis ahead.
Yeah.
No were-corgis.
Yeah, it's just corgis.
Oh.
He said, beware of corgis ahead.
Yeah.
But that guy was all, he was like tripping balls on shrooms
Yeah.
or whatever.
I mentioned
I'm not
earlier
even
that
sure
we
he was
gave them the
working there.
Twitch.
So
That we
anyway-
gave them the
Just like,
Twitch.
shut
So
up.
anyway, I guess I should also mention at this point, the dungeon has changed. We're outside,
outside,
now.
Yeah, we went outside.
Like the entire dungeon up to this point was all inside. They were all rooms,
That's
like
true,
set
that's true.
areas, and this was like outside. This was like out in the open. There's like plants everywhere and like mush. And
now there was a path.
there was a
Yeah.
path.
It was sort of corralled off by some makeshift fencing, and there were these nice blue lanterns that
Right,
were very deliberate.
and there were blue lanterns.
This
to
is the
guide us.
path you're supposed to take.
From the goddess.
From the
that
goddess.
lights the lights.
So the dungeon has changed by this point.
Sure.
We're pretty much outdoors. and
Although,
so-
even also outdoors, there were really well done soundscapes and
Yes.
speakers
You
and
could
stuff
hear
like
the
that.
Were-Corgis howl.
It was very much like
Yeah.
being at a Universal Studios thing, where there's just sound all around you and it's relevant to whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
And there was a purpose for us being outside. It wasn't just all of a sudden, we ran out of dungeon or whatever. It was we were supposed to travel to a place to the south.
Yeah, yeah.
To find the phylactery.
we were told where to
Yeah.
find the phylactery.
So we were basically like adventuring out in the wilderness, to get to where this phylactery,
That's right.
phylactery was hidden.
So
You
we
know.
went to down the path outside,
Mm-hmm.
following the guided lights, and we started hearing like hounds and like roaring sounds and like weird sounds and like the outskirts and stuff.
Hungry pugs.
And then we got to like this little like makeshift like shack, and then a woman came out and said like, "You're too late! You're too late! The village has been destroyed. The werewolves came from nowhere and they just devoured everyone." And we were like, "Sorry, we had to kill a lich." And-
Seriously, we're busy. Come
And then
on.
talk to a pickpocket.
And she was like,
For about 20
oh, you
minutes.
can't help us. No one can help us now. And then she like boarded up her door and shut it and like left us because then we heard more howling and like
Which suspiciously looked like a porta potty.
and at this point, I think it was our GM for the next area had run out with like a little light. And I
Right,
was
because
like,
right as he was saying
Illuminate!
and he said illuminate. So we don't know if that was him casting the illuminate spell or someone to guide us to the next area where
Maybe.
the GM like came out and started telling us what was happening. He's like, there are many werewolves coming. You've been surrounded. You decided to run along the path and you found a good shack that looks like a good place to fortify yourself to defend yourself against this wolf invasion.
Right.
So we went into this shack, and inside the shack there was like one of the craps tables, and
This was the first fight that we actually got to,
We were able to
to
actually-
prep about.
Yeah, exactly. They all
Maybe
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what
this
we
was the
hustled
first
and got in
fight
there.
where he asked, "Is there anything you want to do before the wolves get here?"
Yep.
hide.
So they were like, hide. I was like, I'm going to defend myself.
I think I shielded somebody.
Yeah, you shielded, and you, I think...
John says hide, but that's actually a thing you could do.
Yeah.
The shadows, I guess maybe the rogues too, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
the
work
rogues.
a lot like the dragoons in Final Fantasy, where you kind of jump
Or
and you're
thieves
out
and
of the
wizardry.
fight.
That's what
yeah,
it reminded
sure.
me of.
And you're out of the fight for like a round, but then when you come back, you get a super powerful attack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you average it out, it's actually you'll do more damage by wasting a turn
Right.
than you will just attacking every turn.
You'll
Because
take,
you don't have to,
you'll take less
you don't have
damage,
to worry
too.
about hitting them. You always get a
You don't-
6 of
yes,
damage.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it helps you out a lot.
Yeah.
So,
Guaranteed to hit.
so rogues
Yeah,
are in
that's
hiding, and then the werewolves storm in. 2 of them come in. One is holding like a spell book,
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
the other is like a heavily armored, like
Yeah,
kind of
fighter.
like fighter werewolf.
Yeah, and our mages are like
Fight
hold,
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
hold, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
they're like, all right, we can't do anything.
Yeah.
And the rogues are like stab, stab.
And I'm like, I'm taunting them, whatever. They're attacking me a bit, and then they started attacking the guy with the golden sword because he sticks out.
The golden sword.
So they all started focusing him, and then in the middle of the fight, we're like fighting them. And I think we almost get the mage down.
Mm-hmm.
Another werewolf comes in from the shadows,
Yep.
who's a rogue werewolf,
Yeah,
another
that's
shadow
right. He was
werewolf, and
hiding
he
himself.
strikes, I think, you.
Something like that.
He probably was him because he went down.
He
And
went down.
Did
so
two claw attacks.
So as the fight went down, we got down the mage, we were down to the warrior, I think, and the shadow, and then they killed Lobos.
It's true.
They did.
Yes, he died.
Lobos died.
I failed to
died.
intercept the damage, which is one of the things warlords
Yeah,
can
that's
do.
right.
Yeah.
By
I didn't do
failed, he
that
means
once.
totally forgot
By-
to, because
yeah,
it
by
doesn't
failed.
fail.
You have one job.
No, it failed. It failed.
Wait,
I didn't
you had
forget.
3 jobs. You only did 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I used my resurrection scroll afterwards, healed him
Yeah.
up, and we got a pelt.
We beat the werewolves.
We
got
did.
a
We
pelt.
got a pelt. That was one of the ones where we had like actually like custom
Physical
loot.
loot.
I got the pelt. I got to put it around my shoulders, so I
for
was
about a minute.
werewolf Robin
Yep,
Hood
yep.
for a little bit.
And
And then we met the.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
were
we-
back
we-
outside or
Also,
something.
can I take a moment to say what a badass voice that guy had?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
that-
Like,
Oh,
Or-
sure.
no,
dude?
yeah, the orc.
Oh, the
Okay,
Like,
so-
holy shit, that
Yes.
guy was like straight up baritone. Like, I was like, my god, movie announcer voice standing next to me.
So this is after we went outside,
Yeah.
and still outside, like still in like the rainy village.
Right.
Now, rainy based on the fact that there had been an ice storm an hour previous.
Right.
And, you know, there's still like lightning flashing in the distance. It was really, really cool. And it was, you know, a pretty nice temperature, as a matter of fact. I had been really worried that I was going to be super hot, like wearing like mage
Under
robes
armor.
and stuff like that,
Yeah.
Under Armour and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But yeah, so we encountered this orc.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, Lobos was in full armor.
Yeah.
He had like the
Right.
shoulder plates and chainmail and
You've seen
a
his
helmet.
Lords of Thunder get up.
Yeah.
Both John and Lobos were rocking that stuff.
Yeah.
Hello.
So the orc was like,
Well, he was a hunter.
he was
Yeah.
a hunter. He's like,
He had a crossbow and everything.
I'm paying for these pelts, and he made a very, very strong point. He's like, I do not negotiate.
I will
not negotiate with
yeah,
you.
He gave us
Yeah, 'cause
like
he was
8
saying he was
gold.
like,
Yeah, it's like,
he was
I'll
like
give
the
you
son.
8 gold for that pelt.
Yeah.
He was like the son of some chieftain of some tribe or whatever. So
I
he
said-
was
So
not.
it's like,
I had
what
the
the
pelts.
fuck am I gonna do with a pelt?
Yeah,
Go for it, man.
I had the pelt. I turned to the group and like, what do you guys think? And they're like, all right, let's do it.
gold,
So
So he sold him Bill.
we gave them the pelt. So they sold Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Then he wanted to know if any of us had been
Right.
scratched or bitten.
He asked
you
if
know.
any have any of you been scratched or bitten by the werewolves? You know about the curse, Lycanthrope's curse, and we were like, no. Well, what would happen if it was? And you're like, oh, there's a possibility you could turn into a werewolf, but I come from a long line of people that used to be cannibals. I know the smell of meat very well.
Not cannibals. They used to eat like humans
Right.
or whatever. Is you know.
Yeah,
Which
'cause
if he's
they're
an
orcs.
orc isn't technical.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
Yeah.
we don't know for a fact he was an orc. He might have
Wow.
just been an ugly dude.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't
pretty sure
ugly.
that- I'm pretty sure those-
Carnivores.
Look,
I'm pretty sure those teeth were glued on.
it's 2000. It's 2015.
Anyway,
I don't even know if he was working there.
so
He did just come right out of the bush.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was-
like, it was, you know,
some
Maybe he's
random
the
guy with a
pickpocket's
crossbow.
dad.
we are in Texas, you know.
Austin knows this.
Unexplained. Oh god.
Oh God.
We have to go back.
So he came out, and he's like, well, I know the smell of meat very well. I can smell each of you to tell you if you've been tainted or not. And so, you know, we each said if we wanted to or not, and like he...
Most of us said no.
Who
Most of us
Yeah.
said no. The few that did say yes,
Who
he was
got
like...
smelled?
I got smelled.
He
I
got
did.
smelled.
Okay,
Two
easy,
people
that's
got
me.
smelled, and he's
Well,
like...
I of course again I was trying to find these parts of like, oh,
Branching paths.
can I take the dark path?
Right.
Yeah.
So you
So
become,
I was like,
you know,
well, what
you
if I
become
wanted
like-
to become a werewolf?
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, you're not tainted. No.
Oh.
Just meat.
Yeah, he goes meat.
You know, I refuse because like if I was lycanthrope or not, it wouldn't matter. I still have to stop the lich. So,
Right.
doesn't
So then he
matter.
led us to the shop.
Right.
Which is awesome.
So then he took us to the shop. That was next.
Yeah.
There was like a little shop in, just on the outskirts of the village.
With a shopkeeper.
There was a shopkeeper and his wife, and as soon as we walked in, he walked right up, took the pelt, and said, I gotta find werewolf pelt here for him. And the shopkeeper was like, oh, you're very good at getting these. And he says, I'll give you 12 gold for that pelt.
Yeah.
So he said, so he kind of laughed and said, ha ha ha, yes, and then walked out.
Which was,
Kinda
I
like-
thought was really cool.
Yeah.
glanced at us one last time as he walked out,
Because
kind of
I
taunting
think,
us.
There was some element of me metaing the game where it was like, all right, he doesn't want to haggle. They've set the rules, and we're not going to do anything with this pelt, so let's just get rid of it, right? But
Right.
they kind of then said like, no, we understand the meta, and
Yeah.
we're going to fuck you over for doing it.
So
We
we,
did it.
we got to the shop. We lost out on like 4 gold or whatever because
Yeah.
we didn't keep the pelt.
Bought a bunch of stuff.
And then
mostly
then we were
heals.
able to buy a bunch of stuff. We bought some heal potions.
He had a little abacus there. dude.
Yeah.
That was a really well decorated shop.
Seashells
Yeah.
and everything. And
Yeah,
Oh,
like,
so because of where we were out in Manor, Texas, which is not far away from Austin, but is enough outside of Austin that it's its own place.
It was next to a rock quarry.
We were next to this rock quarry.
The shiny rock quarry.
Again, we've been driven for 3 hours out of town.
Yeah.
And so in addition to all the wilderness stuff that was going on, there were June bugs everywhere.
Oh yeah.
And
yes.
I bring that up here in particular because they had this really, really cute little, like, wooden board
Yeah.
that was almost as if it was set up for the June bugs to like fight one another
Right.
in. They weren't actually doing that. There was just a bunch of them crawling around.
I didn't
I didn't see that either.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
thought
yeah,
that was
I
where
guess
you would like put the money. But
Yeah.
then I noticed there are June bugs there. I'm like, oh, it's just adds atmosphere. These guys were sort of like
Because like you'd fight mantises or
hippies
something.
out in the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so anyway,
Got a lot of Enya CDs.
we bought our stuff, and then he was like, "Oh, let me speak with the diviner to figure out where you should go next." And he like kind of went off to the side and did this thing, and it's like, "Oh, you must go further along the path. The path you seek is further ahead." And, kind of got ushered out and
Yep.
went along the path, and then there's this long, windy, dark path we went through, which kind of this is where
Just as the diviner said.
yeah, there might have been like some kind of like side quest thing or something, like where you approach this like weird house.
I don't know.
Well,
It was just
I
dark.
think it was the same house from before, just from the other side. The one
Yeah.
the werewolf lady boarded herself up in.
Maybe.
Maybe?
I'm pretty
I
sure-
Don't think so.
I thought it was where the,
No, it wasn't because
the
Because she was in a porta potty.
yeah.
Maybe it could have been that too.
But there was a dark house. No one was there, so we're like, all right,
Yep.
we'll move
Yeah.
along,
Yeah.
and we kind of moved along, and we ran into these were the goblins.
Yeah, these were
Yeah,
goblins.
Yeah, those
Yes.
are the goblins. But I remember when we were leaving, I swear I heard him say something about a maze. You know?
Yeah, I
right.
got
And so I was
too.
like totally expecting him. I was
Yeah,
like, awesome.
a
I was like,
maze.
waiting
Yeah, I
for a
completely
There's a
maze.
forgot
path.
about
Yeah,
that.
and
I
there was
kind of
just
forgot about that part.
Well, now, because I was leading the way, and it was really dark, but I saw the blue lights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was something, like, here, but
I
I was
think-
like, I'm just going to keep going this way.
It
And
might
I don't
have-
know,
it might have
I skipped
been-
the
it
maze.
might have
Maybe
been-
we skipped the side quest.
It might have been that, or it might have been because of the rain. They might have blocked it
They
off
might have
because
done that,
everything was
yeah.
a little flooded too.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is true.
Yeah,
There was
I mean,
a lot of puddles and like deep water and
If I were organizing something like that, I would probably arrange it in such a way that certain areas can just be closed and skipped.
Yeah.
If they're like really high traffic that day or something.
They probably do that after
Right.
after a few years of doing it, especially.
Yeah,
they
these-
probably run into these problems.
Absolutely seem like professionals.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, the goblins.
ran into some goblins. They were very pissed off at us because they
Yeah.
were like,
the Lich King owed him money.
the Lich King owed them money, and they were like, "Why did you kill the Lich King? You owed
Call
us so
us
much money, great amounts of
stupid
money."
or whatever.
Yeah.
Or like, what did she call us?
He called us
Imbeciles.
stupid
He calls us
imbeciles.
Stupid
imbeciles. Yeah,
ingrates,
yeah. Imbeciles.
imbeciles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shut up and stop talking!
You and your kind, you adventurers, always ruining our profit.
Yeah, and by this time, we were accustomed to like rolling up onto NPCs that were just sort of telling us to go places.
Right.
But we hadn't quite figured out at least I hadn't, that like they didn't have anything else to do aside from that. So I was very like, well, do you have any side quests for us?
Well, and I was trying to.
what
play
if
it
I
off
brought the Lich King back for
Yeah.
you?
And I was trying to play it off like, oh, well, we're on a quest to finish destroying the Lich King in his phylactery. Perhaps you'll come upon his treasury and be able to pay you back. And
Yeah.
maybe if you give us information about the quest, we can help you out, and you can help us.
Yeah, and everyone's information was basically like, well, you have to go that
You
way.
have to go
Yeah.
down the path.
You
Yeah.
have to go
Keep
down
going to
Yeah.
your deaths.
Sure.
You know,
And
like,
I don't say that to complain. This is
Yeah.
an absolutely incredible experience. I
It
can't
adds
wait
a
to
lot
do
of
it again.
flavor to the-
I would actually
to the
go back
adventure.
again. I
Yeah.
think, but it was just that's the entire reason we're doing a postmortem. Is we're seasoned adventurers.
I think
We're
that
getting
they have like a
this
lot of little nodes that were meant to, as much as you want to get out of it, you'll get out of it.
Right.
Like if
Yeah,
you
we
wanna
could have just walked away.
If you want to RP, those areas
Well,
are there for the
I
RPers.
didn't feel like there was anything to get out. Like I wanted to get stuff out of them.
Well,
but
the-
Yeah,
No,
I
no,
tried
I don't
bribing
mean-
them, but they weren't. They
I don't
they were
mean-
taking
I don't
the
mean
money,
physical
but not
goods.
giving anything back.
I don't mean like physical or like quest rewards or anything. I mean like RP
Just an
stuff.
experience-
Like
yeah,
if you
just-
want to RP, here's an opportunity.
Like if you want to talk to a
RP.
goblin,
I want
but
the
that's a
RP
thing you
yeah,
don't do.
but I want
Yeah.
the RP to go somewhere. Like I can sit there
No, I
and shoot
get
this
what you're
shit
saying.
for an hour.
Yeah,
But
I get what you mean.
But again, that goes back to the thing that I was saying before of like for people that don't play D&D all the time that have never done anything where they dress up or talk to
Those
a
areas
goblin
are
or
kinda
something
optional.
like that. those are kind of like, whoa,
Yeah.
she's a witch.
Yeah.
Or a goblin.
She has a dog and she's gonna eat him. That kind of thing.
And also, I think it's ways
that's
for
what people are
the
like. They do this with
for the
their
people that don't really understand what's going on, for them to kind of
That's
know,
another
some
good
story
point.
bits,
It's
yeah.
to give you
Very
context of like,
Yeah.
oh right, the Lich King.
Yeah.
Oh, the phylactery. We have to go do that thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So now we're coming up on the last fight. Right?
Yeah, so she warned us that we're gonna die up ahead. Then she's like, "You're gonna
That's
die
right.
if you go forward."
Who wants to reveal
And-
the
Yeah,
last
I don't know if we
creature?
mentioned that we had.
I think
It had been told to us that there was a giant beast guarding.
There was a,
the
great,
guardian.
powerful
Powerful
guardian
powerful guardian.
of the phylactery.
of the
Right.
phylactery.
Go
in
for
the
it,
very
B-Man.
the very next room.
Which we didn't know was
It was
the
a-
actual, the
It was-
last room.
Yeah.
It was beach ball, right?
It was beach ball in nature. It was a beholder.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Very
by a
well done.
beholder,
Yes.
I mean like a life-size
Animatronic.
animatronic made of
Yeah, it would
stuff.
not fit through that door.
It
I
would
don't know if
not
it,
fit
it would,
through-
It would not be able to fit through that doorway. It wouldn't even be able to fit through the window.
with moving eye socks that like wheeled in.
Yeah.
It was like, it was pretty cool.
It was
Yeah.
awesome.
It was pretty
was
sweet.
really
Pulled
And it-
out
and
the
it
curtain
murdered
and you went
us.
forward.
It
It
had
was
separate-
so tough.
Yeah,
The only
it had
thing
separate targets
missing
you could
from it, I
attack for
think,
the-
was maybe a soundtrack, like sounds,
Now, so
whatever.
I
it was,
want that is absolutely true. So it was not. It didn't have a moving mouth, and so many of the other villains had such personality.
yeah.
And this beholder, Raisin, the
Not
beholder
to,
was
not to
Raisin.
decry what the effort that they put into
No,
that. I
Beholder
mean, it
was
was
awesome
very
overall.
well done.
Well,
You know.
they had a drow that was charmed by it, and they're like, it serves only to be the hands of the beholder, but why
Right.
couldn't it be the voice?
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Now maybe they just ran out of good actors.
She was pretty boring.
Well, she
Hey,
was.
we
She
didn't
didn't
give
say
them the
anything.
Twitch, right?
She didn't say anything. She didn't talk.
Yeah, I don't think she said anything.
True.
She just
Um,
rolled-
She wasn't.
Yeah.
She wasn't there to be a personality.
No, she was just dice rolling. But this was by far the most challenging
yeah.
fight, and it was
By
a very
far.
authentic beholder because every time that it would attack with all of its eye stalks.
It was just
It
shoot
would
out
have
tons of
random
beams.
It was-
crazy effects on the party.
brilliantly done mechanically, where the DM basically had 6 D6s, and he had a random stack of sheets, and so depending on how many players you had, I don't know if he had different sheets for
Right.
different numbers of player, but we of course had 6 players, and so each of us would be hit by a random eye stalk, and some people would get charmed, and some people would fall asleep.
I got
and
charmed
some,
again.
Some people would just
I
straight
got
up
put
take
to
damage.
sleep. You had people slammed into
Some
you.
people-
People
Yeah.
would have
Twice.
people telekinetically, the people to their left and right slammed together. I think that's what
That happened to you
eventually
twice.
It happened to me twice.
That's actually what killed you.
Yeah.
killed me.
Yeah,
I
that's right.
died. I
Yes.
super died, guys.
Yeah.
But
We had one more resurrection scroll.
we had one more resurrection scroll after the rest of the party put the thing.
But we did,
to
what was it,
rest.
42?
Yeah,
So,
we,
yes,
yeah,
this-
we did another super fireball. You
I-
passed this one.
yeah.
But before I bit the dust, we managed to cast yet another battle mage fireball. The benefit of the premium mage class, which of course everyone poured all of their damage tokens into, and lo and behold, every single one of the individual eye stalks was
Oh.
not only a separate target,
Yeah.
but also attached to the monster.
We actually cut a few off.
So not
Yeah,
only
we
did
do.
the individual eye stalks fall off, but that drained the entire health pool of this thing by
Like 42.
Now,
42
when you say
points of
fall off,
damage.
the model we were attacking did not change.
correct.
Yeah.
That is true. But
Just
we stopped.
attacking.
But like he
attacks
rolled
from that
less
one.
dice.
yeah, he had far
Sure.
less attacks after that.
Sure. Like I didn't literally throw a fireball.
Although,
next time
but
I
what
would
I'm
like-
saying is like that you can conceivably think that of a beholder with all these stalks,
Sure.
as you shoot them off, they fall off. Like,
Yeah.
that seems like a reasonable thing that could
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, totally.
I was just clarifying that.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Now I want to go back, but I want to have the Go Bluth
Fireball.
illusion.
Yes. Just squirt
Trick
lighter
before
fluid.
something does
Just
some money.
Squirt lighter fluid on everybody.
Exactly. Oh, can we all go as Arrested Development characters?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Actually, we want to go. So we're almost
Oh,
done.
you're
but
the
we
blue
got,
man.
we got plenty of. I blew myself. Oh, Ryan, you blowhard.
Blue hard.
You blew
Now
hard.
we're
Yes, there, we did it. We did it. So it
We
turned
also
out.
watched Arrested Development before.
Yeah, we watched
So-
Ross. That's a great
Ryan
show.
Anderson,
We should
world's
just do that
first
for the rest of the
analyst.
stream.
Yeah.
Huh?
We should just do that for the rest of the stream.
Oh. Should we get
Cold-
milkshakes?
cold-
too?
Yes, I want more milkshakes.
Hang on, stream. We'll be
So
right back.
we put the beholder to rest, and there were 2 chests to open up. One of which had
Sun chips.
Sun chips.
chips!
That's
The
right.
powerful sun chips!
And I don't think any of us had realized that that would be the final encounter. But once we were done, we were ushered off to.
The other container phylactery.
Yeah.
That's right. We found the
We
phylactery.
got the
Did
phylactery.
you hold that?
I did hold
Yeah.
What was it, like a plaster thing, or what
I guess.
was
It was
Like a
I'm
bag
pretty
of
sure it was
sand?
like I'm pretty sure it was made out of plastic
Okay.
or
Yeah.
whatever. I don't know if it was like
You know what it reminded me of? You know those little like lemons and limes that you put lemon and lime juice in?
Right,
It looked like
right.
one of those that was just white and had a hole cut in it.
kind of, but it looked to me more like it felt like
An egg.
a melted candle or something like that
Oh,
because it had a little bit of texture to it or
Yeah,
whatever.
it does.
And it was round, but it was hollow for sure. You know,
Yeah.
like it was.
The entire concept of the phylactery, aside from the fact that phylactery is kind of a weird word for people to say if you're not in the business of lichdom, was sort of a running joke because they were very deliberate about saying that phylactery can look like almost anything. A lich can just store his soul in whatever he feels like storing it in. So whenever we would encounter an NPC that was connected in any way to the saga, we were trying to figure out, like, well, do you know about the phylactery? This is what a phylactery is. Do you know what it might look like? Because we weren't sure if that was going to be like an essential part of like.
We get a lot of shrugs. and
I was
yes.
like the Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
That's exactly
something
what
like
I was
that.
imagining.
You know,
Like,
yeah,
a
so-
row of like, all right, well, here's 15 things. What's the phylactery, guys?
Yeah.
And I was like,
Which cup was the one Jesus drank from?
Yeah.
hmm.
If you were a lich, which would you store your
Exactly.
store your soul in?
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
That'd be another good thing to do next year. So we met the.
Priest of the god of the goddess.
That's
of the
right.
moon.
That's right. We
Yes.
destroyed the phylactery.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Which was really cool, actually. I mean,
Yeah.
it was.
It was.
Nice
was-
special effects.
They
So he had like an altar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he asked us if we were going to offer up the phylactery, to destroy the Lich King once and for all, to end
Yes.
his evil. And a lot of us, I kind of was looking around, and a lot of us were like,
What are our other choices?
we were trying to keep the story going because we really didn't know that this was going to be like the end.
No,
you know?
I thought it was like.
we
the
thought
end
we'd have
of
another battle with the Lich or something.
Yeah, we
Exactly.
thought there was going to be a little bit more to it, so we were just like, so we went behind the altar and we're like, yeah, sure, let's do this thing. He dropped it in and. Fog machine shooting out and lights and stuff like that,
And smoke.
A lot of
He-
pyrotechnics.
Yeah, a lot of pyrotechnics. He came out and I did it like 3 times, and he had like the timing down perfect. I
Yeah.
don't know if he was
Yes.
controlling it.
I thought there was
Or
someone.
whatever.
in
I think there was someone
Yeah.
back there.
There was probably
He
someone
was like,
in there.
Because he was like,
he's like, be
"Maybe-
gone!"
Maybe there's a little more.
yeah, exactly. He's like, and
Yeah.
one more. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure there was somebody else controlling
yeah.
it.
I wasn't sure how they were, how they were doing it. If it was on a timer or
Right.
whatever, but
But it was neat.
it was.
I
pretty
time
neat.
all my pyrotechnics to my jokes.
And then the cleric was like, "Congratulations, you've destroyed the Lich. The queen is here, and she wishes to speak to you." And
Which I think,
led around the
I think,
corner.
the queen was probably high as fuck also.
We did give them the Twitch, right?
So okay,
I think she was just
Okay.
really
the queen
fucking
was
tired.
okay. The queen was
Maybe.
acting.
Jesus.
I think the queen was acting because she was supposed to look like sickly and pale, like she'd been like drained or something, like she was almost undead almost.
Yeah,
She's like,
she's been
she was like,
Where's all my blood?
she was like, my father, the king.
Oh no, a mummy.
She was like, my father, the king, has been slain, and I have succeeded his legacy.
God.
And
I feel like
You
you're
just-
way more enthusiastic.
Like literally.
Well,
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm not speaking like I'm not
she's
speaking
more
like she
thank-
was.
Thank you, heroes. You've saved this whole.
She's bundled in a
Okay,
blanket.
yes.
Either that.
Also,
Fine, you want me if you want me to
Yes,
speak like her, I'll speak like
No, no,
her.
no.
No, we're good.
My father, he's dead. He has been slain.
As if it was 1:30 in the morning or something.
Yeah, almost.
But I also thought it
I'm
was,
glad you
you know-
heroes did this for us. This great service.
Yes.
for
You're
us.
truly heroes of the land.
You are winner.
Yeah.
and
Well,
I noticed her appearance, like, first off, because she was like
She looked
white
pale.
in paint, the
Right.
face paint and stuff like that, and makeup or whatever. And I was like, okay, there's got to be more to this. Like, she's like charmed, or she's
And she was like sitting on
You
like
know.
a porch to a
yeah,
house.
yeah,
Not
exactly.
in a
rocking
castle.
chair?
Not-
Yeah.
Like it was at that point that the setting kind of like, oh,
Yeah.
there's
Fell
literally
off,
just like a
you know.
ghost town here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of just fell off at
She's
that
like
point.
sipping on a Budweiser.
She was not.
And like the first thing I thought, I was
Wearing
like,
a white
okay, maybe
beater.
there is like one more thing to this. Like the Lich is gonna, like we're gonna have to fight her. Like she's being controlled
Right,
by the
she's
Lich
gonna
or
fight her,
right.
something. Or there, yeah, exactly. There was
But
something.
we were raring to go.
And then we
I mean-
knew it was over when she's like, "Go, brave warriors, to get your picture taken at the picture booth." And we're like,
Buy souvenirs. Tell
Yeah.
all your friends.
like, oh,
Come again soon.
Yeah.
Exit through the
So
gift
we
shop.
did that. We went and got our picture
Yeah,
taken.
so we got our
Yes.
picture
Which
taken.
we'll show you
Bought
guys
some
in a few weeks.
souvenirs.
Yeah,
We did. We did.
And we got
entered-
shirts.
Yep.
We won We entered all of our
Stats
character
and stuff for
information
next
for New
our,
Game
uh,
Plus.
Our what is it? Our names went down in the annals
and
of
they saw
history.
Lobos with the gold sword, and they were like, "Ooh, they got the gold sword!" And
And
it's like,
cleverly,
this is
none
a
of
good
us
group
mentioned we
here.
were giving it to it out of
Yeah.
mercy instead
Well,
of getting
but
them
then
all
when we
right.
were handing in our props, he put it on the stack of gold swords.
So I forgot I was going to say this at the very start. If
Yeah.
anyone on the stream had been to GDC, it's like True Dungeon. There's a True Dungeon event they have at GDC. It's very similar.
Can we go?
Yeah.
Let's get in the car.
Let's do it.
Can we get shakes?
Yeah.
Road trip.
Oh yeah. Afterwards, we got victory shakes.
We did. So
Victory
we,
Whataburger.
we gave them a lot of creative feedback. We told them about this. Hopefully they enjoy our ravings about it. I had an absolute...
And are calling two of them high.
Well, they can't control that. I
We
mean,
meant like
It wasn't a
the
perfect
group.
event,
I'm saying
but
the whole, the people that put it on.
It wasn't
can't control
perfect. There were
the
problems,
individuals
but it was a
getting
great
stoned.
event. They did a
Yeah,
really
we
great
told
we
them.
were
job.
talking to the guy with the beard. Was he like one of the organizers, or do you know?
Who?
I thought he was one of the GMs.
He was the trainer
The
dude.
The
trainer.
trainer dude. Yeah, was
Yeah.
he also like an event organizer? 'Cause he seemed
I
really-
assume that everyone was an event
Yeah.
organizer.
Well, I mean, like
Maybe.
making the dungeon crawl.
Oh, I have no idea.
He seemed very interested in like the things that we went through in our.
I'm sure
Maybe.
there are like several
I mean-
people like Gwen. I know, does this like a lot of years or whatever. So I'm sure they all have some kind of creative input into what goes on, especially as far as like volunteers are concerned. Because obviously they wouldn't exist without the volunteers. you
Right,
know?
exactly.
So
Like, I was really tempted to just volunteer right there on the spot, but also I want to do it again.
yeah,
Yeah.
I am down to do it again next year.
Yeah,
Agreed.
I'm super
we
ready.
absolutely. I can't imagine that we won't do it again this year. I don't know if I'll do the haunted house version. I don't like jump scares or blood or mummies.
What's wrong with mummies?
I'm super racist.
I don't.
Oh, okay.
Follow us at twitch.tv/foxhound__.
Next up, a
We-
skeleton minotaur.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now the real reason you tuned in.
sir.
Did we kill chat yet?
No, chat's alive and well.
Chat just
Shit.
noticed my Franker t-shirt. So
We gotta keep going then.
Absolutely. No,
So-
we've got at least one flight to get through.
Oh.
Yeah, but if anybody from the Scare for a Cure thing is watching or watches this on archive or
Absolutely.
whatever, 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, you guys did a
Amazing.
great job.
You guys do amazing
Awesome.
work,
Yep.
charity-wise.
Everyone should go do it.
Yeah, we made nitpick, but it was really a great event.
Yeah,
they did a
absolutely.
really
I
fantastic
mean,
job.
we wouldn't be talking about this if it weren't worth talking about.
We're
No,
excited.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I can only imagine that not only are we going to do it again next year, but we'll probably try to do more to help try and promote it. I have to imagine we're doing a post-mortem now.
And new
Love-
costumes.
We're gonna.
Yeah.
I love making costumes.
Gilzoople.
We talked about doing Beastmen, kind of like